In America. Good morning from where I'm going live. My name is Dr. Tova Goldfein. This is TMS Roundtable, and I am so blessed to be here all the time. I'm so blessed to be here, and I thank the angels of the internet because I guess there's a love-hate relationship. There's an interdependence with the internet, but it has allowed me to go across the world and I am really, really very, very honored. And today, this evening in Canada, my guest and soon becoming my good friend and colleague is Zehra Mahoon. I say it correctly?
Yes, absolutely. It's
It's
perfect.
such a
I'm so
beautiful name.
thrilled to be here.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful name.
Thank
Um,
you.
Sarah
Yep. Sarah with a
from
Z.
yeah, it's really beautiful name. It's just something very esoteric about it. And it's close to Sarah. It's close to Sarah. I
Yes,
bet you
yes,
it's similar.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you real quick to the audience, to the listeners, how I met Sarah. I am always on a journey. That's what makes me a little better coach myself because I'm in the game with my clients, and I think you are too. And I was looking for a new journal. Journaling, as we know, neurologically is very good for our brain, helps us build a new pathway, helps us speak a new language, helps us connect to ourselves. Journaling is a very amazing tool for healing pain and disease. So I was on the internet and there's tons of journals on the Amazon journal. And then this book. I see this book and I thought, okay, unlimited. It's a great word. It's a great buzzword. It's like speaking to me. It's saying something. It's creating something happening inside of me. And I see it and I see the name. And then I text about the author and I see this magnificent woman sitting in the picture. And I'm like, and then of course, me, like, oh no, I'll never meet her. And then I start the 40-day journal. It's a 40-day law of attraction journal. And I was originally turned on to law of attraction by Joe Dispenza, which is another story. But anyway, there's lots of wonderful teachers and coaches talking about law of attraction. But when I contacted Sarah and I said, and you I said, would you want to be on my broadcast about health? And you responded. I was like, see, you never know. You
You never
don't
know.
know until you reach out. Like they say, if you want to dance, you got to pay the band. Like, so, it's like, would Sarah come on my show? Like, it's just little Tova, I'm just a peanut, and then I go and I go and you had a Facebook page and you didn't message me right away. And I thought, it's okay. She's busy. I reached out. All right, universe. And then I start doing the 40-day. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful book. It's rich with questions and information. And now I want to quiet myself, calm down my own excitement, and have you, Sarah, speak about a little bit about what got you into this work because this is just one of, I think, 10 books.
19.
Oh my God. Oh my God, unbelievable. So give us a little history before we begin to talk about law of attraction with health and healing. Give us a little history about you. And I always say start from hello.
Hello. I think I've always been on the journey, really, because I've always been asking questions, even as a child. Um, and I was always looking for answers. So I always gravitated towards philosophy in my early years. And just, I was just so blown away by philosophers and their wisdom and the way they explained life. And I had so many questions of my own about life that I was collecting information all along. Because one of the things about me is that I think I was telling you about this before is that I was born in an atmosphere where there was disparity in the sense that I went to school in a convent and I came home to a Muslim family.
Wow.
And so and that created questions. Why this? Why that? Why do they do it this way? Why do we do it this way? Why are they different? Um, why doesn't God love everyone the same? And so from those questions, I kept asking those questions. But then, yes, life did happen. A lot of things happened in my personal life where I was like, why did this happen to me? I'm a good person. I don't deserve abuse. Why did this happen to me? And that started me off on why isn't that entity that we call God, why isn't that entity fair? Because to me, what happened to me seemed like it was unfair. And as I looked around me, the world seemed like it was full of unfair things. Why were people going hungry? Why didn't people have money? Why?
Right.
Right? Why do people get sick? Why do some people die early? Some people live into their hundreds. So I had so many questions. And what happened with me was that I reached a point where I found myself newly immigrated to Canada and I found myself all alone with two children, no livelihood. And the only way I was going to fix it, I thought, was by figuring out what how to play the game of life. Like, what did God really want from me? Because I was standing on my head in 10,000 different ways trying to please that God, but things were not changing in my life. So I was like, I really have to figure this out. And that is what led me to law of attraction because in my mind and the way I look at it, law of attraction is the way wishes are granted. And if
Law of
you know how it
attraction is the
understands,
way wishes are granted, and they're
yes,
abundant for sure.
yes. And so law of attraction, when I found it, I got all the answers to all my questions that I had ever had since I was a child. Because it is a very simple scientific system that is consistent and works the same way for every person every time.
No doubt, 100%. It doesn't matter who, where, why, how. It works.
It works. And once you figure it out, you just you have so much peace in your heart because you truly start feeling that you have control over your life, which was the one thing that I was looking for. I was looking for control. I do this and that happens. Like, why? I want this. I did this to get this, but I didn't get it. Instead, I got that. Why? So, law of attraction has answered all my questions.
So you're clear. It's almost like whenever something happens or not happens, you understand exactly why, and then you know the how. There's no surprises anymore. So in that way, you have enormous amount of control. And what I call in my work, it's a little bit about kind of a letting go. You have control.
That's true. Because you see, letting go, what does letting go mean? Letting go means not resisting. And so, what is it that we are resisting? We are resisting giving up our opinions and our judgments and our perspective. That's what we have to let go. We have to accept that there are more ways of looking at things than we can be aware of.
Say that again.
There are more ways of looking at things than we are aware of.
So it means there's things in our unconscious mind that are happening, and also things that we may not be aware, but that are happening.
And so we look for physical evidence, but before something becomes physical, it is non physical. And because we can't see, touch, taste, hear the non physical, it feels to us as if the thing that we want isn't there, but it is.
Okay. So let's draw this because this is all so interesting and it's like it's alive, like we can do something with it, especially plug it into, health and anxiety and healing, which is my work and my mission in life. And I found a this is the book that one of 19 books that Zara gets time to write. Like, where does that come from? And you said to me,
Oh,
"Am I sleeping?" And I'm like, "Are you sleeping? Are you sleeping?"
books are easy. Books are easy because I channel them.
Wow.
So
Wow. So
books are easy.
this is fascinating. So here's the sentence. Here's the sentence. And shalom to our people that are in our studio. I'm so happy that you came to visit, and feel free to ask any questions at any point. This is an open-ended roundtable. And by the way, for anyone, TMS stands for Tension Myonoro Syndrome, which was a term that Dr. John Sarno used to understand the body and the mind, the body expressing pain or symptoms because of what's going on in the unconscious. It was very spiritual. Dr. Sarno was very, very spiritual. He didn't talk like that. So I use this sort of TMS because it's a sort of a buzzword in the field, but it really means mind body syndrome. And for me, it also means help is on the way. So, oh my God, Patty Garland said that that's the book that helped change her life. Do you know who she is, Patty?
Yes.
Anyway,
Yeah.
welcome to my world, Patty. I'm so happy to share this with you. So here's the sentence that I think will lead us into helping many that will hear this recording and want to understand how they can heal themselves through the law of attraction, and that it is like their own medicine or their own placebo, which our other colleague, Dr. Joe Dispenza, talks about in his book. You are the placebo. And so I delved into this work because I felt like I wanted more for my clients. I wanted them to go deeper into connecting with their body, but through nature, through the universe, through their own ability to take care of themselves. See, what's beautiful about the law of attraction is we're saying you can heal yourself.
Yes. Yes, you can. Because you're the one who created the problem. You can also fix it.
And I remember, I have to say this, I say it on a few shows in honor of my mother, who had multiple sclerosis for many years and really, really did struggle. And and it was a difficult, and it kind of, I always say, it changed the direction of my life in many ways. And it's kind of a little bit of my tikkun, which is my karma in helping people. And we went to see, I forget where I was in my career, but we were in Pennsylvania. And I took her to see Dr. Bernie Siegel
Mm.
in a
Yeah.
big conference in the
Yeah.
University of Pennsylvania. And we went to see Dr. Bernie Siegel, who was speaking, and she was on her walker, and he asked her questions, and she stood up on her walker and said, "Why did I get MS?" And he said, "Well, you caused it." And I knew that was heavy for her, and
Yeah.
maybe for the people in the audience. I don't know. For me, it was like, whoa, but I caught it. And I was like, I understand this, but I don't know if I can explain this to my mother and if she's receptive. Because the first thing
Yes.
is somebody's going to feel blame. And for me, it's
Yeah.
like, it's empowering. Like, wow, I can heal this. But most people feel a bit of a blame.
Same. Absolutely. That is always the first reaction. What do you mean I created? Why would I create abuse? Why would I create disease? Yes, you were not aware that you were doing it, but your thoughts caused it through your unawareness, lack of awareness. And by becoming aware and by becoming awake, you can cure it.
Right. And so that your thoughts caused it. It's not like, we're talking about that word cause and, cause and effect. And I did a YouTube and I said that and I found this in one of Joe's book, but it's you can cause your effect. You see, that's the
Yes.
power. It's like your thoughts cause this, but you can actually cause your effect, change your thoughts by accepting them. So here's the sentence that I'm going to ask you to talk more about health and wellness, which is so what we're saying here is with the law of attraction, you can create anything you want: health, relationships, abundance, finances, anything, because you are the navigator. You are changing your relationship with these things that you want, and you're changing your relationship with the world and your body and your mind. So here's one sentence in the beginning of the book is you said, I know that when I do the law of attraction work that is needed to be done, I always achieve a major movement forward towards the things I want. But many times I spend more time thinking about doing the work than doing the work. And this is where so many people in my world get tripped up because I want them to take the responsibility, say, here, I'm just the messenger. You're the doctor. You're the therapist. I'm just, bringing the message. And what's happening is they're not applying it. They're thinking it, they get it. They're like, yeah, I get it. They're like on the wave. And then the applying and implementing is the place where, and so let's talk about why that's so hard for us to, we know it in our brain, but to bring it down to our body and apply it. Let's talk a little bit about that regarding health and
Mm,
disease.
It's a very big topic because the answer is different depending on who you are and where you are and what is happening. But our body is where we live. We wake up in it, we go to sleep in it, we spend our entire day in our physical body. So, anything that is going on in our physical body, if we start focusing on it, it becomes an obsession in the sense that you can't take your mind off of it. And I think that we've been socialized to believe that we can't take our mind off of it. Because if you look at a baby, I was having this discussion with someone just this morning. If you look at a baby, and I don't know about you, but I've seen pictures, I've seen children, I've seen my own children because both my children are preemies. So they were born and they needed to be hospitalized for a while. And you think that they are intubated and, like they must be in pain, but they're sitting there drawing, coloring, smiling, watching TV. If you watch children, no matter what is happening in their bodies, they are able to distract their attention from what is happening in their body. And that is the way to get better because your body knows what to do. Every cell of your body is intelligent and it is a being of its own, coming together with other similar beings to create the body. They know how to heal themselves. We get in the way
Yeah.
with our worrisome thoughts. So, the reason when we cut ourselves, the reason the cut heals is because we believe it will. But when something happens inside our body that we can't see, like we can see the cut, we can see a boil, we can see, things, irritations. And because we can see them, we feel like we have more control. And when something's happening inside the body, because you can't see it, you feel as if you don't have control.
So we're talking about trust.
Yes, but the thing is, whenever people feel that they don't have control, is when they get obsessed with having control.
Right.
So instead of focusing away from it, they focus more on it.
Right.
They feel that focusing more will give me somehow, I'll figure out a way to control it if I focus more.
So what's beautiful, I'm going to interrupt you like a good Israeli. So listen, here's the thing, because part of the work that we do, the part of the work that I'm experiencing is it's neuroplasticity, and one of the methods is this way that we focus on the symptom, but in a way to trust it and allow it and to accept it. So this is the thing. So we're talking about, you can focus on your discomfort with love and compassion. This is what we've
Yeah,
researched.
but if you can't, then you should look away
Yes, yes.
because looking at
Trust
it,
with trust and compassion. Like it will
yeah,
be okay.
you
Like
will be okay. It's under control. My body knows what to do. Sure. But if you look at it and you say, oh my God, this is never going to get better and I don't know what to do about
and then
it,
that's a fear pain cycle. And I'm sure in
that's
your work, what we see is this
that.
fear. What would you call? We call it a fear pain cycle, because the more I fear the pain, which is
The more
much worse
fear.
than the pain, fear is much worse. And fear,
Yes.
and then become
Magnifies the pain. Fear magnifies the pain.
right, right. So if we're talking about attention on something that it become a negative cycle, because what we're doing is we're like, okay, make it happen. There's this sort of like, and what the brain does, and this is the neurological part, which I'm sure you understand, but what happens is the brain's like, oh, I got to protect something here. Okay, bring out that inflammation, bring out that muscle tension. What's going on? I'm into fight or flight. So that's what's happening neurologically. But I think on your level, what's happening is there's this a block, spiritual
So,
block.
hmm, it's okay. So, we're going to get into details now. The thing about it is, our body functions differently and excretes different chemicals based on our emotional state.
Right,
That's what we, for many, many years, people have recognized the flight and fight response,
right,
right? And all that means is that the hormonal state of my body, the chemical structure of my body, shifts based on my emotions. There are emotions that are conducive to the well being and normal functioning of the body, and there are emotional states that are harmful
right,
to the normal functioning of our body. And so, people who spend their life worrying and they spend their life in anxiety and fear of things going wrong. Worry is fear of things going wrong. When worry is taken to an extreme, it's called anxiety.
right. And then to a big extreme, it can cause an autoimmune disease. And
It can cause many things because your body's functionality, its normal ability to heal, rejuvenate itself, and protect itself is hindered. And because of the chemical structure of your body shifts, the chemicals in your plasma shift, and because of that, the communication between the cells is cut off. It's like being in a storm, and when the lines are down, then there's no communication.
right,
And so, this is what happens when our body is in a state of fear. The communication between the cells of the body is hampered, they cannot communicate with each other. So, healing is hampered.
right,
So if we get out of the way, meaning we stop feeling those negative emotions that get in the way of our body being able to do its job,
right,
now our body can, it has the ability to heal itself.
right. 100%. And I want to say that, it's not like there are emotions that serve us and emotions that don't serve us. But most important is, anger isn't bad and fear isn't bad. There's a purpose. It's the way that we express that fear and anger that might hurt us. Fear is a great tool for protecting us. But if we're creating, our
So
more fear,
worry
like,
is
right,
worry is us creating the fear. Worry is us creating the fear. Because it's not like there's a lion and I can see it and it's going to jump on me.
right,
I am
right,
making the assumption that there might be a lion that's going to jump on me.
right.
So fear is self-created in this time-space reality. In our world today, we create the fear by making assumptions about what's out there that's going to get us.
Exactly. And even on the higher note of when there is a threat, I mean, the body, we go back to primal times, the threat safety mechanism that started with the cavemen, and why we even developed this, what that part of the brain grew because of having to protect itself. So thank God we have a protective mechanism. And when we're healthy in our thoughts, there's what I call, a better balance of the threat safety. My body like protects me when I need it. Now, if we're really under threat, okay. And this is what, when I always say, well, when you're really under threat, it's still a relationship of how you want to handle it. I mean, when there is real threat to the body, when the threat is gone, we're left with trauma, which is another whole broadcast. But then we have an experience with the trauma, a thought process about the trauma, a memory of the trauma. And this also comes into play with the work. There's people who
Yes, it
are
does.
drawn to the
So
law of attraction. Yeah, go ahead.
well, the law of attraction point of view about this is that fear and negative emotions like fear, anger, are they are like warning signals that something needs to change. They are not, the warning is not supposed to stay on. It's just a warning. But if we start living in that, then we are going to hurt ourselves. So let me give you an example. If the security system in my car goes off and I don't do anything about it, it's going to kill my ears. It's going to annoy the life out of me. It's going to make it difficult for me to function. So it's supposed to be a temporary warning. It's not supposed to keep going all the time. So the function that fear performs is to give us a warning. Watch out, get out of the way, do something about it. What happens these days is that people don't heed the warning.
So this is number one for applying and implementing this work into your health and wellness is to heed, to listen. So continue, listen to the warning
Yes.
of your body. And then what? So listen, first listen, to be
So,
aware, awareness,
yes,
mindfulness.
be aware. And the second thing is we all have guidance. So if you ask yourself, what is wrong? What do I need to do? The answer will come. So that's why we say go within, because all the answers are within.
And okay, I'm going to be a devil's advocate. Okay, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what I'm feeling. I don't know. And I'm always saying, so stay there. It's not a bad place to be. It's still a feeling I don't know. It's like I'm confused. I'm on the fence. I don't stay there.
So the thing about that is that for almost everything, 100%, the answer is that you need more gratitude in your life. It's
Okay.
when we, so, like, it's not complicated. The thing is, if we are staying in fear, we are not in gratitude. Fear is the absence of gratitude. When we are in a state of fear, we are in a state of uh, almost, you could say, complaining. So, the reason I use the word complaining is because there's no thankfulness in fear. So, what if we could offer thankfulness? Thank you. I got the message. I'm on the wrong track. I need to change tracks. I need to change the way I'm thinking about things. Let me be more appreciative of the life that I have.
Yeah.
And when you do that, if you start looking at your life from a different point of view, and when you look at things from a different point of view, the things that we look at, as Dr. Wayne Dyer used to say, will change.
And I know that people, that I work with are, good morning, Steve from Australia. I'm so happy to be here. It's just, I always like to plug Steve. He opened up a Facebook page called Men's Health Matters, Let's Talk. And he helps thousands and thousands and thousands of men understand that they have emotions and that they can express and that their heart, you know. So he's not even, he's a teacher. He's, not even a therapist, but he got involved with this. And he was on my show a few weeks ago and he's amazing. Him and his nephew opened up this Facebook page. He always has wonderful things to share. And it's so good to see you, Stephen. Um, So I want to respond to what you said because people will have pain and the pain will feel real and it is
It is
real.
real. It is real.
But what we've learned that first of all, pain is an emotion and chronic pain. We're not talking about breaking your foot, breaking your hip, cutting a finger. This is acute pain. Thank God for medicine. Go to the hospital, get surgery. I'm not against medicine. I'm not against
Yeah,
doctors.
same
I,
here. I'm not.
I don't
Take the
think you are
handbrakes on
either.
there. Absolutely.
Right.
Don't make it hard for yourself.
But chronic pain, what we've studied, and chronic anxiety is coming from a cycle that can be stopped and can be interfered with and can slow down. And
Yes.
like your words are get out of the way because the body strives for healing. It
Yes.
strives, the cells are striving to dance together. The cancer cells don't want to clump up and become a tumor. They want to live their life. The body is striving all the time to innately be healthy.
Yes.
And I always
Yes.
say this inside of us, we have a whole pharmacy. Just by exhaling, we activate our vagus nerve, which is this huge nerve that feeds all of our organs, and we send all this blood and oxygen, and I call it like happy chemicals. Once we, when we inhale and exhale, we create our own opioids, our own cannabis, our own cocaine. Forget even exercising, moving around, how we create endorphins. This is
Yes,
all
that's right.
known
The
knowledge.
body knows how to create things. Yes, absolutely. It is a chemical factory, literally.
Yeah. And, quoting, um, you know, Joe Dispenza didn't make up anything. It's just the way he delivers it. His knowledge is knowledge from our ancestors, knowledge from the Kabbalah, from the Bible, from the Quran, from the Buddhist, from the Dalai Lama, and so what Joe says, which I love quoting in the way he says it, is that the thoughts can make you sick and the thoughts can make you well.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing to understand about that is that it's not necessarily your thoughts about your body that will make you sick. Your thoughts about the money in your life, the thoughts about the relationships in your life, the person who was rude to you, all of that factors in to the creation of any discomfort in the body.
So how again? So number one, insight and tool. I call them take home. Dr. Tova's take home tools and tips. Even we're not broken, but the word it's like an emotional tool. Awareness, and this is a key. This is a key in our work that I do. It's the mindfulness, the awareness. They call it metacognition in the quantum physics world. If I can watch my thoughts and not react to them, but respond, there's a different chemical
Well,
relationship.
even before that is the step of becoming aware of my thoughts, which a lot of people, I wasn't, I was just not aware of my thoughts. Thoughts were just happening. I knew that I was thinking, but how many people at the end of the day know what thoughts they thought during the day? Like, no, you
Yeah,
don't.
yeah.
You don't have the awareness.
And that's just
And
the conscious ones. There's unconscious ones, which we know you can become aware of by mindfulness. And
here's the thing, nothing gets through through the subconscious mind without going through the conscious mind first.
I love
The
this.
conscious mind is the doorman that allows things to become beliefs that will be stored in the subconscious.
Wow.
And so when a subject appears in front of us that requires us to tap into something that we've got stored in the subconscious, we will refer to it. But nothing comes through into the subconscious without the conscious mind first stamping the stamp of approval. Yes, this is true. So, for example, that person, oh, she's never nice to me. I have called it true and now it's stored. So, the subconscious mind is a storage space for everything that we have made a decision about.
So you're saying at that point we can make a choice
We
to
can
not
make a different
store
decision.
it.
We can make a different decision. So, it's about talking to ourselves. That's why self talk is so important to say to myself, yes, he was rude to me that one time, but maybe she's changed because I sure have. And if I can change, then other people can change too. So now I've opened the door to for the creation of a new belief about that same person. So if we shut the door and we never change the beliefs, then we can go through life carrying beliefs that no longer serve us. For example, when children are young, and I've certainly done this to my daughter, is to say, don't speak to strangers. But now she's much older, and her profession requires her to speak to strangers. But if she still hangs on to that belief, she's not going to be successful in a profession that she has chosen. So she's got to say, okay, that was when I was little. That belief does not apply to my life right now. I am okay letting it go. And I can talk to strangers. They can't harm me, right?
And
So
yeah,
now it's a different belief though. So when I was 3 years old, I had the belief don't talk to strangers. Now I've discarded that one and replaced it with another belief that says it's okay to talk to strangers. They cannot harm me, right?
it's a good
And some
example.
people don't do that. There are people who never step out of their homes because they are so afraid of what will happen to them if they step out into the world. And that's because they have acquired beliefs that they have never dealt with. They've never let those beliefs go. They were true when they were 3 years old, and in their minds, those beliefs are still true today.
Right.
So, one of the beliefs that I really had to do a lot of work around had to do with money. My parents taught me that money was hard to come by. And so I, throughout my childhood and my young adulthood, that is what I believed. So it became my reality because I was close to any other option. And so that's unless you change a belief, unless you make a new decision, you cannot take actions that correspond to belief that you haven't proven to yourself yet. So, an example of that is when somebody, for example, someone is training for the high jump in the Olympics. Even though their trainer might say, oh, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it, you can jump 6 feet. Unless that person actually accomplishes that jump, they're not going to believe it. So we have to formulate our own beliefs based on our own observation and our own decisions, and then we've got to put it into action to prove it right.
So are you saying maybe it's a so with that person, so this is maybe another insight and a take home tool to visualize what you want, how you want to be, what you want to be, how you want your health to be. So go ahead. So in that example about the high jump, he's going to have to do it. But would a tool be before if he felt fear or if he felt trepidation that he would visualize it and kind of imagine it? Would that be another tool that you would recommend?
Excellent. Visualization is fantastic if you can believe the thing that you're visualizing.
It's true. You
But if you
can't fool the body.
you cannot fool the body. That is why telling a lie is such a big thing. because our body has a negative reaction every time we tell a lie.
Wow.
So this is why visualization does not work for everybody. Everybody's tried visualization. These days, children in school are asked to visualize. Everybody who works for a corporation has been through a training where they had to visualize something. And visualization is really a normal, that's what we call daydreaming. Like we make up stuff in our heads, our imagination. That is visualization. But visualization has to feel good when you're doing it. And if you've got attachment to the outcome and it doesn't feel good, then that visualization is actually doing harm. It is not doing any good.
So, okay, here's an example. I'm suffering with some kind of symptom, and I want to visualize that the symptom goes away, and that I can go ahead and do something that I couldn't do because of the symptom. Let's say that some kind of chronic pain, and I wanted to be able to go in the pool and exercise, and so I keep visualizing myself doing laps. You're saying that if deep inside I'm not believing and I'm still living in a state of fear, it it
It's
won't
never
work.
going to go away.
Because
No.
I think the
Because
research.
you're because you're pulling yourself into two different directions. It works. It works absolutely. It works, and it is a powerful tool for those people who don't get split into two, who believe it so much that they are only pointed in one direction. But there are those people who visualize and they see the good stuff, and but the little voice inside says, "Liar, that's not true. It happens for other people. It's not going to happen for you. Who do you think you are? Your situation is different. You're too far gone." If that voice is not dealt with, then visualization is more harmful, that it does more harm than it does good, because it's you are pulling yourself apart. On the one side you're doing something good, and on the other side you're doing something that's not good. So
Because
that split energy
right,
will
it's
not let you move forward, because you're so in order to move forward we've got to have kinetic energy moving in one direction. But if that energy is moving here and then here and then here and then here, you're going to stay where you are, because there will be no movement forward.
so how would somebody be know if they're like if they can come to that place of truth in themselves that they're still feeling fear about the future? Like
So
how would I?
sometimes, most of the time, it happens because somebody inspires them to believe, even for a short period of time. So a doctor, a coach, a therapist, someone, or a loved one, someone who really cares about them, husband, wife, mother, father, child, believes so strongly in the fact that this is going to go away that you cannot doubt in their presence. So they help you to believe. So now you're not believing in yourself, you're believing in them. But it doesn't matter, because whether you're believing in yourself or believing in another person, that is a positive belief, and it helps you to open the door for healing to take place. And this is what we call positive bedside manner, which is very important for doctors, because healing is not just about the diagnosis and the medicine. That bedside manner is what the patient needs in order to have faith that they are going to recover.
Right.
So, that window of opening that window of hope, where there is hope, recovery is possible.
Yeah.
Where there is despair, then it's the balance. Do you spend more time in hope and or more time in despair? If you spend more time in actual real hope, where you're not cutting the hope down with negative self-talk, then it doesn't matter how severe the condition is, it can be healed.
It's very important in the relationship between the student and the teacher, between the
Yeah.
therapist and the client. It's very important because you don't want to create codependence. You want to create interdependence, and you know, um, And so, being in this position as a coach or a therapist or a teacher that you and I are at, I'm very careful that people are taking the advice and applying it. And it's not just me, like that they're becoming. That's why I say, I want you to be your doctor. I want you to be your own therapist. You know the answer. And this is another tool, which I wouldn't have thought of.
Exactly. You know the answer.
Stop, listen. What's your body saying? Listen, it'll tell you. If not
Yeah,
today, just write in your journal, do a little meditation, be patient. Be patient with yourself, and that's another physiological behavior to trust and be patient that your body does know.
exactly. Yes. So that's why, because everybody's different, that's why it can take different amounts of time. Some people can, recover like that. Other people, it can take time. But I love what you just said. You were talking about codependency and the role of a coach. I see my role as helping people to recognize the negative thinking patterns that caused the problem, because unless those negative thinking patterns are changed, then the problem keeps coming back and keeps coming back and keeps coming back, because you are eliminating, you're working on the manifested symptoms rather than working on the cause. And you think that the cause is something malfunction in my body, but the real malfunction is always in our thinking, and the malfunction in our thinking causes the malfunction in the body. So in coaching, the most important thing is to help people to understand the pattern of their thoughts, to point out to them when they are negative and when they are positive. Because the one thing that I learned about myself is that I thought I was positive because I always picked myself up and kept going. But I realized that I must not be positive, because if I was really positive, then I wouldn't be falling down over and over again.
Right.
If a pattern repeats itself, it means you haven't changed anything. And so, to me, the key is to help people change that. And one of the things that my heart desires with so much depth is that I wish that the minute someone is diagnosed with anything that is critical or chronic, that they should immediately be signed up with a therapist or a coach, because that problem was created first here. It was created here. And so you've got to not only help the body, but you've also got to help the mind in order for a return to health to take place.
Right. So it's so true. And, there's two things that what you just spoke about created in wanting to respond with. And number one, when I lost my train of thought a bit, but I did, I've met so many people in this work that have healed everything from arthritis to
Yeah,
cancer to multiple sclerosis. And I think you've met them too. And we all know about that. And we think, well, no, that's not me. That's some kind of like Dalai Lama on the mountain. And I'm like, they're not special. Their thoughts made them sick and their thoughts made them well. And yes, they might have done nutrition, and yes, they might have done qigong. Of course, all those things are wonderful somatic healing attribute resources and ways of healing. And it may not work for you. And it's not. So I wanted to get back to the I think this is what I wanted to say. Another take home tool is when we can make our unconscious mind conscious, and have like a road, and Rose would call it like the road from the head to the heart. We'd have a path that we could walk and always know what's going on. We can not only change the thoughts that don't serve us, We're not talking about being perfect beings. We're talking about acceptance.
Yes. True.
We all have negative thoughts. It's the
Yeah.
nature of the world, nature of how we grow. When we're talking about being, um, positive all the time, it's about accepting. Because I mean, so many people are hurting physiologically and neurologically because they hate themselves or they hate their body, and you cannot heal a body you hate. So we're back to love and acceptance. We're back to that cycle again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. At the end of the day, the answer lies in love, gratitude and love. Those are the two most important things. And gratitude leads to feeling love. You see?
And gratitude is also very chemical reaction. I know what I
Absolutely.
want to say. I learned this from the Torah, but it's from all the
Yeah.
Eastern philosophy in the books that body had the solution before the problem. The body knew wellness,
Yes,
and so it knows how to get there. It just
it
got
does. That's exactly why I say if we get out of the way, then the body will function perfectly. And the way that we need to get out of the way is our head, our mind.
yeah, it's exactly right. So I wanted to review. I wanted just to put your name up here because there's some new people watching. And thank you, Steve, for all your amazing. Steve is such a cheerleader. I love you, Steve. You're amazing down there with those kangaroos, which are amazing animals from God. But Steve says something interesting. His son is a pilot, and he tells. So, can you see Steve's comment? I'll put it up here. Yeah, my son is a pilot. He tells me if the red light flashes, it's to warn us adjustment needs to happen. That's why we all need to practice, practice, practice. And that's what trips people up. Why aren't I better now? Like I'm on the yoga mat.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So
Wanting
repetition,
instant, that's, it's a sign of our times. We can, everything is so easy these days to get, right? I
yeah,
mean, letters used to take months and now it's like an email that's instantaneous. So that instantaneous gratification, so we think that I'm doing the work, where's my stuff?
right, right. And and neurologically, it's about repetition because neurons that fire together, wire together. We've created these pathways that are not good for us, that are not serving us. So if we practice and practice, so practice, and I'm sure that's what the channeling has come to you is like, patience and try and work like the right path. So just practice and practice and practice.
I'm going to say two things, and they're probably going to lead us into having another hour of discussion. But here are the two things I will say. Number one, everyone channels. Everyone as a child is a channeler,
I love
and
this.
then we unlearn how to channel. And those of us who don't unlearn it still have it. So we all have it. We've just buried it. It's still in there.
Beautiful. So we all have the ability to be perceptive and aware.
Absolutely, we all do. All do. And as we remove the debris that's covering us up, that's that ability is inside us. We just need to uncover it. Um, so that's the first thing. The second thing I'm going to say is maybe a little bit revolutionary, especially for people who follow Joe Dispenza. And honestly, I know the man, and he is fantastic, and he's done a lot of valuable work and changed a lot of people's lives. I am not disputing his work. However, I have a concept, and that concept is that the thing that we call our mind is not in our physical body. Our brain is, but our mind is not.
Where is our mind?
Our mind is like the soul, it is non physical. There are no filing cabinets in your mind.
I like this.
Chemicals do not store information. The information that is stored is in the cloud.
So the mind is a concept. The
The
brain is a
mind is
because, and I always say the brain is a piece of flesh that does a certain amount of job. We don't have to give
yes,
it this
it does.
power.
Yeah, it does. So the brain is a transmitter and a receiver that is transmitting to the cloud and receiving from the cloud
And the cloud you're calling,
is your mind.
and that's not, there's nothing physical in our body that, right. And
There's no physical mind.
the soul is the soul is in, and because they
The soul
say that
is energy. The soul
the
is
soul
energy. So I'm going to share what I teach. And what I teach is when we are born, there's a stream of pure energy, source energy that descends into the physical body. And as it descends into the physical body, it splits into two parts. One is the soul, and the other is the logic or the mind. And the disagreement between the soul and the mind is the reason for all worry, anxiousness, and struggle. When you close the gap between the mind and the soul, you have what I call heart and mind alignment, which leads to never ending peace in your heart, happiness, and a good life. So both your mind and your soul are pieces of the same thing, and they are both non physical.
beautiful. And your thoughts are energy, and we
Yeah.
know that. And
Yes.
those thoughts can trigger chemical, physiological, neurological reactions in our brain that can change the function of our body.
Exactly. And the beauty is that our thoughts are under our control. So if our thoughts are under our control, then everything in our lives, including our body, is under our control.
Yes.
Hi, Deborah. So good to see you here.
Hi, welcome to my studio. Peace and love. And wow, this is amazing. And so I want to end on this note because it's late for you. And I first like to say to people, I would love to like have you join again. I love this topic. I could talk about it for hours. It's and then to teach people how to apply because there's talking about it, knowing it, and
And then
applying.
there's application. Yes.
And, I always like to say, and again, I didn't make this up, it's all repetitive intelligence, that when the student is ready, the teacher will come. And when the student is very ready, they don't need a teacher. So, Zara and I are not here to sell a business. We're here to promote self healing. It's yours. Take it. Please use it. It's there for the taking. That's what's so wonderful about the world and wonderful about human nature. And and that how when we trip up and interfere with ourselves, to see it as
Yes.
a test, see it as growth. You're not a victim, just like how you grew up. And I know I've dealt with victim consciousness. Why me? Why me? So
Yes.
how we can turn the victim into a victor, how we can utilize our trauma and drama to serve us, how we can pull ourselves out of the quicksand. Anyone and everyone can do this. And to hang out with people like Steve Mundy and his Facebook page. And thank you for Facebook for giving us an
Yes.
open
Absolutely. Oh my
and
goodness. Yes.
university of knowledge. The question is, it's not going to work if it's sitting here. We're going to have to go into the game, what I call get naked with your clothes on, deal with the monster under the bed, which is just a toy monster, go into the lion's den, which is just a place where toy animals are hanging out, and realize that, you are the navigator of your life. And I love what you said, Sarah. You said everyone is a channeler to channel health and wellness. Can you share a little bit more about that before we say goodbye?
Um, so, what is channeling? Channeling is receiving information from that which we call source, the universe, pure information without letting our mind interfere with it. That's channeling. So, everyone channels because as soon as you ask yourself a question, the answer comes. What happens when the answer comes is our mind steps in And then our mind starts a dialogue. Part of it says, oh, yeah. And part of it says, no, no. And that dialogue dilutes the guidance that just came. That was the guidance. See, I love Dr. Wayne Dyer's words. I went to see him when he was in Toronto many, many years ago. And he said, here is us talking to God.
Fear
Intuition,
is,
prayer, prayer is us talking to God. Intuition is God talking to us.
well,
So you can receive intuitive thought and then cut it to pieces with your self talk, with your mind. Or you can say, I just received intuition. I'm going to act on it. No ifs, buts, or questions. Because I trust the voice of my intuition that
right,
sees all,
right,
knows all,
right,
rather than my limited focus.
right.
So that's really when you stop questioning the voice that comes from within, that's channeling.
Beautiful, beautiful. So
And so
it's really
channeling happens at many different levels. And as you give up anxiousness and worry, your level of intuitive consciousness rises and rises and rises until you're always there or just a tad bit away. You're never too far away from your intuition because the mind will take you far away from your intuition because the mind will play games with you. It could be like this, it could be like this, right? So we get caught up in all those games that our mind plays with us. And intuition cuts through all of that.
wow. I love it. I love it. I love it. And so in 19 books, I am sure each of them touch on all of this. And maybe your next book will be specifically about health and wellness, which again, I don't think there's anything new under the sun. It's not so different for health and wellness and healing chronic pain and healing autoimmune symptoms. So I say to the audience that patience, gratitude, forgiveness, love of self, trust. This is all the medicine. We've just here
Absolutely.
diagnosed and given lots of medicine to all the people. So, Dr. Zara, you are a doctor. And you know what? I always say, again, we're giving the doctor back to you, the channeler, the doctor, the healer, the nurse. You know, in Hebrew, nurse means sister. So it's a beautiful concept to understand, to love of self and to heal yourself and heal thyself. I mean, the original doctor was heal thyself, and the original medicine was in your backyard. You can pick
Yes,
it.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't care if you smoke it or drink it, it's in your backyard.
yeah, yeah.
So I am so grateful to start my day and end your day together. What a love that I've met. I'm so proud of myself that I took a risk and reached out, and then I waited maybe like 6 weeks until you answered me. But once you answered me, we were on like a bee like honey. So I am grateful for your time. I know you're really busy. 19 books that you wrote. Is that counting the one about live, love, and prosper?
Yeah,
So can you chat about
including
that? This is an amazing book, which I'm going to put the actual book up on the round table. This was a separate book, Live, Love, and Prosper. And it was talk about that because it was about charity and giving, which I love. Share that with
yeah.
the audience.
So Live, Love, and Prosper is a book written. So I led the project, but there are actually 30 people in the book, and each person has contributed a story. And all the stories are about difficulty and trust, and then ease. How trust changed people's lives, how listening to the intuition changed their life. So that's what the book is all about. And the concept behind it is that every author is doing a book signing and working with a charity in their local community to encourage the sale of the book and we are donating all the money, all the royalties, minus the price, selling price minus cost, 100% of the royalties are going to 30 different charities, because each author has picked a charity that is local to them.
Wow. It's so beautiful. So beautiful. And I saw some of the people that I don't know them, but I just read something about them. Well, how many authors?
30.
Wow. Amazing, amazing endeavor. So we will meet again. I think my clients love hearing about this work. It's, another like hug of information that they can heal. You can heal. And thank you so much. Again, we will
Thank you
meet
for
again.
having me.
And God bless you to all out there. Have a wonderful day. Sleep well. Bye, my dear. Okay, 1 second. Okay.